Manchester United are battling other Premier League clubs for the signing of Angel Gomes. United have also been linked to Southampton youngster Tyler Dibling and Sunderland youngster Chris Rigg. What is the future of Old Trafford as talks of a new stadium start to heat up? This plus all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, including a double injury boost. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, please smash a like on the video and let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with the Angel Gomes stories. Now, I brought you this in a video last week saying that Manchester United were keeping tabs on Angel Gomes. It came from The Sun, and I think it was in the Manchester Evening News as well. It felt a little bit of a story where, because he played for England, made his debut, where a lot of the British media were kind of jumping on it. So Dean Jones, though, is a fairly credible source, come out again saying that Manchester United among Premier League clubs battling to win the race for Angel Gomes. They're mulling over handing him a chance to return, and Ten Hag has tasked the scouting department with continuing to keep tabs on him. Really interesting option, Angel Gomes, because if he's out of contract next summer, so is Christian Eriksen. So if you were looking at it logically, it would make sense maybe for United to let Eriksen go next summer on a free transfer and then potentially get Angel Gomes in on a free transfer next summer. We can speak to him in January. Had a really good development in the French league, Angel Gomes. I do worry about his physicality though. Someone mentioned that in a video, in one of the previous videos that I've done. Like, is he, he's only a small player, isn't he? So, and I don't know if he's, size doesn't necessarily matter in the Premier League, because we've had some, look at Martinez, for example. He got slated for his lack of height, yet he is an absolute warrior at the back. I don't know if Angel Gomes is quite as aggressive as Martinez, though. So I do worry about his lack of physicality, but is a quality player, would be a good option to, if you're going to let Eriksen go and bring in Angel Gomes, I would be all for that, especially if it's a free transfer and we're going to not get anything for Eriksen. That would make perfect sense for me. So definitely one that we're keeping an eye on. There is a few more kind of stories, but again, they're not from the most credible sources at the moment. But definitely seems like there could be something in it. But I just want to wait and see for a bit more credibility before getting too excited about Angel Gomes. But I can rate that. Bringing in Gomes, letting Eriksen go as a replacement. I would just worry about his physicality, but apart from that, he's got all the attributes and he's got the quality, I think, to come back to United. Whether he would be a first team or not, but who cares? The more quality players we've got in the squad, the better. Look at the benefit we're getting at the moment, having a fully fit or almost fully fit squad. And the competition for places is going to start giving the manager a real headache. And that's what you want at United. You want 2 or 3 players battle it out for the same position, because that's the way you keep people motivated and you're keeping players on their toes as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, look at, obviously, the other day, Rashford, Garnacho, really good games, but Amad Diallo's had a good start to the season as well. All of a sudden, you've got 3 players for 2 positions that are all bang on form. Obviously, Anthony didn't do himself any injustices the other night as well, although I still would put him a little bit behind in the pecking order, but he had a pretty decent game against Barnsley as well. So you're kind of looking at these players and thinking and just hoping that, yes, they can kind of come out and bring the best out of each other as well, and that's what we want. I would be, if it was Eriksen out and Gomes in, I would be for that. But let me know what you think in the comments. Now, another youngster we've been linked with, I'm going to kind of debunk this a little bit. So this came from Gimme Sports, and it was specifically Ben Jacobs, who is, I always call him a hit and miss journalist. He is quite credible sometimes, but other times not so credible, in my opinion. But they were saying that Gimme Sports sources have been told that Manchester United could attempt to turn Dibling's head, as despite opting against making a move at this stage, sporting director Dan Ashworth did when he was leading Newcastle United's recruitment drive, and has remained a big fan of the teenager. The Red Devils are also looking to add under-21 talent at Old Trafford after their new negotiations chief was previously aggressive in trying to add him to the academy at St James's Park, meaning that Southampton's Premier League rivals are circling ahead of potentially trying to strike a deal. So in a nutshell, what Ben Jacobs in the report was saying, that Dan Ashworth was a big fan of Tyler Dibling at Newcastle, and that interest is still there now that he's obviously our recruitment our sporting director, and it kind of linked United through that way into the report. However, the report also says that Southampton are planning to offer Dibling a new contract, which includes significantly improved terms after making a positive impression during the opening exchanges of the campaign. According to Gimme Sports sources, he is increasingly likely to put pen to paper after giving indications that he has no interest in embarking on a fresh challenge elsewhere. So in the same report, Ben Jacobson, that was saying that, Southampton are going to sign him and he's got no intention of leaving, but then also linking Manchester United with him just because Dan Ashworth wanted him at Newcastle, which makes no sense to me. I think it was just, for me personally, just name dropping Man United in that report to try and generate views and generate interest. That's how it felt reading the reports. I mean, yes, it doesn't necessarily mean he's not a player of interest or he's not a player that we could potentially be looking at. But going off of that report, it was literally said it in himself that he's more likely to put a pen to paper at Southampton, yet still went on to link Manchester United to it. So I don't, I don't necessarily think that he's a player of interest for United. I think that just sounded a little bit to me like Man United being used either to get a better contract from Southampton or to generate views on the story. That's what I kind of felt from it personally, but you can check it out yourself and let me know what you think about that one in the comments. So let's move on to the Old Trafford talk. You might have already seen a lot of this already. So let's go through the timeline. So Manchester United came out on their official website saying that we're launching a survey this week to ensure the views of our fans are at the heart of plans for the future of Old Trafford and the regeneration of the Trafford Wharfside area. So basically what United are going to be doing is emailing season ticket holders a survey of what they feel around a new stadium, Old Trafford, the whole kind of area, getting suggestions and stuff like that as well, which I think is a nice move. It's going to be a hot topic, this, what to do with the stadium and stuff. So I think it's nice that they are at least reaching out for fan opinion, and seeing what they want, what they're not necessarily go off of what the fans say, but go off of their suggestions. United's Chief Operating Officer Colette Roates also said, "We want to hear from as many fans as possible during this process to ensure we can capture all the views and understand what our supporters want from a world-class stadium in the future." She also went on to say that this important survey is the first stage of our wider consultant with fans, and will be followed by a series of focus group and town hall meetings to make sure fan voices are at the heart of the decision-making process. So I like that, the fact they're reaching out to fans, which is fair enough. Gary Neville, who's also on the task force, said Old Trafford should be a stadium the United fan base can take pride in. So I urge fans to complete the survey and help shape the task force feasibility work and inform the club's final decision on the stadium's future. So that all came from the official United website, where they're reaching out to fans, trying to get fan opinion on, not necessarily, they're not going to be the decision makers, but see what the feelings are around the whole kind of stadium situation. Let me know what you think about it actually in the comments. Are you for a new stadium? Would you want to renovate Old Trafford? The way it's kind of going, and we'll go through as well, it's looking less and less likely there's going to be more and more likely it's going to be a new stadium. That's my feelings going off of all the reports, but let me know what you think in the comments. And then a credible source said that according to an internal document, a deadline of December the 30th has been set for the task force to submit its report on its recommendations on the future of Old Trafford. United will then decide how to proceed with the project. So there's a deadline of December the 31st, where I don't know if we'll get a decision announced or anything that day, but that's the deadline when they want to do all the research, all the fan opinion, come up with the options, costing, all that stuff before they decide which way they're going to go down as well. So, and that's mad, isn't it, when you think about it, that Ineos would have been in effectively a year from that stage, because was it not Christmas Eve when it was announced that Sir Jim had bought into the club? So literally within 12 months, we're already looking at potentially a new stadium or renovating Old Trafford. We've already got, new training ground being built, new facilities for the women's football team and stuff as well. And it's just mad that if you get people that actually care about the club and want to improve it, how quickly things can be done. It's especially of 20 years of stagnation under the Glazers, which still infuriates me. But fair play. And then the latest update came from Chris Wheeler, who's a credible source, saying that Manchester United are prepared to abandon plans to keep Old Trafford if they build a new stadium. They now realise that scaling down Old Trafford to a capacity of around 30,000 to host academy and women's fixtures will be too complex and unlikely to work, because there were rumours that potentially Ineos were going to keep Old Trafford, make it a smaller capacity for the women's and the youth team, and then build a super stadium in the area around Old Trafford. But that's looking like it's a less feasible option now, and it's looking likely that if they're either going to have to renovate Old Trafford or potentially build a super stadium. And to be fair, Sir Jim did say when he came in, or even I think it was even before, that he would be looking for a new stadium. He wants a Wembley of the North, and I don't think renovating Old Trafford would potentially give him that. He wants to build 100,000 seater stadium in the area, which would, it looks like, going off of that report, mean knocking down Old Trafford. Whether they would keep it in some capacity or keep like remnants of it as a sightseeing place, or they're potentially going to be doing like a lot around the area as well. So whether there be like a fan zone or something there as well, that's always a potential option as well. But it doesn't look like they're planning to keep the stadium at a reduced capacity. So it would either be, and I think, reading between the lines, they're going to want a new stadium, aren't they? That's the way I think they're going to go down. That's my personal opinion. Let me know what you think about that, though, in the comments. Let me know what your preference would be. Would you prefer them to renovate Old Trafford? Are you comfortable with a new stadium? I mean, ultimately, as difficult as it is with the stadium and stuff, on the other side, we do need to move with the times as well. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a difficult decision. And I think the more it's kind of coming out, the more you get used to the idea, do you know what I mean? The new stadium seems the way that they're going to go, in my opinion. But let me know your thoughts about that in the comments. And let's quickly go through the rest of the news. So Samuel Lascelles signed his contract as a Manchester United player, the youngster that we bought in from Crystal Palace. Very highly regarded winger. That came from Man United Academy and the Secret Scout, both credible sources. He's even put a photo on his Instagram at the time of recording this video, almost pretty much confirming himself with a photo of him in a United shirt on his Instagram post as well. So that deal looks like it's done. Waiting for the official announcement from the club, but it's all but official. So really positive. It's just another kind of showcase of what Ineos are trying to do, bringing in these kind of young gems, young players, and make that and help them develop at Old Trafford as well. And another player that could fit that mold as well is Chris Rigg. Chris Rigg, 17-year-old midfielder that plays for Sunderland, very highly regarded. We've been linked with him a few times. Now, this report came from Graham Bailey. Now, Graham Bailey's a bit of a hit and miss journalist. He can be sometimes credible, but sometimes talks nonsense as well. So I would say at this stage, we'll take this with a pinch of salt, but it's not the first time we've been linked with Chris Rigg. He is definitely a player of interest. He's a very good young player. I actually live in the Northeast, and I've got some good friends that are Sunderland fans. They absolutely love him, rave about him, in fact. So he is a very talented English midfielder. So what they're saying is Manchester United are looking to strengthen the wonder kid list at the club with Sunderland's Chris Rigg. As far as midfield talents in England go, few are better than Rigg, and he is showing that this season in the Championship, despite being just 17. Graham Bailey has revealed to United in Focus an update on the talent's future. So this is what Graham Bailey had to say. So I actually think he will probably end up at United. There's a crux. That's the crux of it, and I think they are pushing hard. United are huge fans of him, and they like him a lot. Basically, it would come down to the player himself when it comes time to do a deal for him. I personally expect it to be done in January. And then Graham Bailey also said, we're going to see the battle emerge in the coming weeks and months, and United are firmly in the mix, but it may not even be in England, as Dortmund likes him as well. Wherever he wants his next club to be, he will have that option. We are talking 20 to 30 million pound for Chris Rigg, and he'd be a first team signing. And then he also went on to say, I think that the United link is intriguing because ever since he was quite young, when he was 15, it was interesting. A scout said to me that Rigg was the nearest thing to Brian Robson he had ever seen. So that came from Graham Bailey via Unitas in Focus, where they did an interview with him, kind of basically saying, according to him, he thinks United are going to be going in for Chris Rigg in January between 25 to 30 million pounds. Very promising. Obviously, scouts have told him that they see him as the next Brian Robson. That's very... that's a compliment and a half for those old enough to remember Brian Robson. Unbelievable player. What do you think of that in the comments? That one was kind of caught me off guard a little bit, but he is definitely a player that we're interested in. And like I said, I've got friends that are Sunderland fans, and they all absolutely love him. Saying that he's they've got really high hopes. Like obviously Henderson, when he was at Sunderland as well, a lot of my mates were championing him when he was young before he went to Liverpool, and he didn't go on to have like a bad career at Liverpool under Klopp. But yeah, they reckon this lad's like much better than Henderson ever was at Sunderland. So really interesting option. Whether I believe the source at this stage, no, I'd want to see some more credibility personally, because Graham Bailey is a hitty-missy journalist, but fantastic potential player. Definitely one to keep an eye on, and I'll bring you any updates if they come through, but let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then the final story I've got for you, massive injury boost ahead of the weekend with Rasmus Højlund and Mason Mount, both in first team training. Both would be available for selection, I believe, at the weekend. It's unlikely, though. I would imagine Højlund's been out for a few weeks, so I don't think he's going to come straight into the first team. I think they're going to potentially ease him in gently, but might make the bench. What a headache Erik ten Hag's got now with everybody coming back fit. Obviously, Xerxes has been playing a few games up front. He's looked pretty decent. Needs to sharpen up in front of net, in front of goal. Rashford could play there. Had a good show in midweek and back amongst the goals now, looking confident, which is good. Garnacho, Amad Diallo. Obviously, Mason Mount started the season against Fulham quite well. Thought he did a decent job in the first half against Brighton before he got injured. He had to come off at half-time in that game, didn't he? And then ultimately we went on to lose that game because when he was playing, we were 1-0 up at half-time. We were 1-0 down, but we were playing quite well in the first half at that time, I felt. So yeah, massive headache for the manager. But that's what you want. That's what you want. You want 2 or 3 players in each position, battling it out, and then may the best man win. That's what I kind of say as well. But good to have both back. Good to see we are starting to get back to full strength. Only going to help us going forward. One for obviously competition in the first team, but then also players coming off the bench that can influence games as well, because Højlund make the bench, and then what a player to have coming on in the second half, as we've seen at the end of last season against City in the Cup final, and a few games towards the end of the season when he was playing Bruno Fosnine. Højlund was doing an unbelievable job coming off the bench at the end of games with his pace and directness and everything as well. So what a great option to have. But yeah, I'm buzzing for it. And it'd be interesting to see how Højlund fits in with a team that's actually creating chances as well. That's going to be really interesting to see how that develops this season. So I'm massively excited for that. Let me know what you think in the comments. And let me know what you think below about all the topics discussed in today's video, because that's you up to date with everything. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.